Hello, welcome to the summary station. So today we're going to be discussing what is a summary. We're going to go over what's included in the summary, and we're even going to look at an example. So let's start out with what a summary is. So if we look over here on the notes, it says a summary is a record in the reader's own words. That's really the key thing here, that when we're writing summaries, it needs to be in our own words. It needs to give the main points of the piece of writing, which is a newspaper article, chapter, book, even a whole book. We're going to be mainly using newspaper articles. And it also uses something to summarize something that you've heard or maybe something that you've learned in class, a different topic. So we're going to move on to talking about what information should be included. So you should kind of always have the beginning, middle, and end of your summary, of your article in your summary. So it should include the title, the author, and the date. And remember, if you can't find the author and date of the text, that's okay. Just make sure you include the title. The second thing you want to make sure you include is the main or central idea with the supporting details in order. You don't just want to include the topic. So, for example, we've been talking about lead poisoning. Lead poisoning would be a topic. The central or main idea is what is the topic about? What is the author specifically saying about the idea of lead poisoning? And it's steps. Just remember, we talk about the who, what, when, where, and why of the article after we present the main idea. So how long should the summary be? People say it's about 1/3 the length of the text, but for most purposes in this class, it's only going to be about one paragraph or a minimum of 6 sentences. So we'll most likely need to start to be a little longer. The higher level text you read or the longer the texts are. It's okay if you write like a two paragraph summary. You cannot include your point of view in the summary. The whole point of a summary is to be summarizing what the author is saying. You'll have a chance at later dates to write what you think about what you've read, but in the summary, you're just writing in the third person. So you're using the author's name, you're writing he, she, it, they, them, or her. You never, ever, ever use I. Just remember, never use I. All right, so after we've learned what a summary is, now we're going to go into learning how we do it. So this is an example of the article that we've been working with. Opinion for poor students in St. Louis, clean drinking water is not assured. Here's an example of some annotations we came up in class. So step one for any summary writing is you always have to read and annotate what you're first going to write your summary about. So here's an example of our annotation. Then step two is going to be this lovely graphic organizer. So it has the who, what, when, where, and why of the article. So remember, if we go back to the beginning of what needs to be included in your summary, we talked about the who, what, when, where, and why of the article. And that central idea is going to be included in the what. So what is the main or central idea? So in the center, you end up writing the title of the article, and then you fill out these boxes as you're annotating, or if it's a little bit more challenging text, you can wait to do this, maybe your second or your third read of the article. So once we've annotated in step one, and we have the graphic organizer filled out in step two, now in step three, we're going to write the summary. So we need to make sure that we include all the information that's in this graphic organizer to the best of our ability. So if you remember in the beginning, it said that you're supposed to start out with the title of the article. So this is always right here a really good sentence starter. You can always start off with in the text or in the article or in the book, and then immediately give the title of the text that you're working with. You can also automatically link it to the author. And then here are our main ideas. So in the article, opinion for poor students in St. Louis clean drinking water is not assured. So there's the text title. The author, Tony Messenger, the author, discusses the big ideas of contaminated drinking water and racial inequality. Now, right here, if I just leave this piece and I don't explain this, all I'm doing is really talking about the topic. I'm not delving deeper into the central idea. So now my next sentence should follow up kind of with that and explain more or less the beginning, middle, and end of the text. So I use the transition words. It opens up by. You can also use that. Or first, it starts with. It opens up by discussing that 30 St. Louis public schools have drinking water that is contaminated with lead, and there is a lack of funding to fix the problem. So in addition to explaining the central idea a little bit further, I also stated where it's happening. Even though the article was published in May 2015, so here's our when, the problem has likely been happening for decades. So it explains it's not just happening now, but it's probably been happening for a long time. Thus, a lot more people are know. The author further explains the demographic makeup of the children affected. So right here is my clue. St. Louis's student population is 82% African American and 85% of them qualify for free lunch. So I don't just state that it's children, I go in and I give a little bit more detail. The reason why I give that more detail is because in order to understand the larger main idea of the text, your audience or your summary has to know the population makeup or what we call the demographics of the population or of the students. And the author in the text makes it a really good point to make this stand out. So this is where the author begins to transition to the larger problem of racial inequality. So here is where I go in to explain this idea of racial inequality. He compares the St. Louis schools to its wealthy neighbor in Lottie Public Schools. So here is the other location that that the author is talking about. So I go in to start kind of explaining how the author develops this idea of racial inequality. He does that by comparing the St. Louis schools to its wealthy neighbor, Lottie Public Schools in Lottie, Missouri. Now I'm just going to kind of state the end. The author ends the article by giving a graphic description of racial inequality between the two schools. So in this summary, I'm giving some important details, right? We talked about the who, what, when, where, why of the article, but I'm not giving away too many details. I'm not over explaining, but I'm giving my reader just enough to make sure that they understand what I'm